President Obama again pushed Congress to pass his jobs bill. At a news conference on Thursday, he said he is open to compromise, but Republicans say he's quit governing and shifted into full-on campaign mode. Danielle Nottingham reports from the White House.
President Obama says unemployed Americans need help right now.
This is not a game. This is not the time for the usual political gridlock.
Fielding questions from reporters, the president defended hitting the road to sell his $447 billion jobs plan. He insists he tried to find middle ground with Republicans and got nowhere. The president says he will continue to take his case directly to voters.
I would love nothing more than to see Congress act so aggressively that I can't campaign against them as a do-nothing Congress.
GOP lawmakers are pushing back against the president's proposals to raise taxes on wealthy Americans and close loopholes for big corporations. The president is asking his congressional rivals to come up with something better if they don't like his ideas.
But Republican leaders accuse the president of not being open to compromise.
Well, Mr. President, why have you given up on the country and decided to campaign full-time instead of doing what the American people sent us all here to do?
Senate Democrats hope to take up the jobs bill next week, but leaders were forced to add a new tax on millionaires to win support from members of the president's own party. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, the White House.
So for more on this, we are joined from Washington by Politico's David Mark. David, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure. Good to be here.
Well, first of all, help us understand, where is the jobs bill in Congress?
It has not really been formally introduced, at least on the House side. In the Senate side, there's all kinds of procedural wrangling going on just about bringing it up. The bottom line is it's bogged down, and there's no real sign of when it might actually get voted on, if it gets voted on at all.
As you watched, the president was very confrontational during his press conference, saying he would love nothing more than to see Congress act so aggressively that he can't campaign against them as a do-nothing Congress. So how are lawmakers on Capitol Hill responding to that aggression?
I don't think the Republicans running the House of Representatives are taking to it very kindly. Senate Democrats are they're doing their best to push through that jobs bill, but Republicans don't really seem intimidated or bullied by the president. He kind of alternated in that press conference on Thursday between the professorial President Obama and the populist pitchfork President Obama. And it was kind of a bit of a strange sight to see him kind of toggle back and forth. And it's not clear how seriously Republicans really take that threat.
Well, that's what I want to ask you. Is the president's aggressive tone making any headway with Congress?
I think it's as much a brushback pitch, a signal to his own political base, Democrats, liberals generally, that, you know what, I'm serious about fighting Republicans. I'm not going to let them get away with anything. So even if he doesn't think privately that he can get past everything he wants to show his own political supporters that he's serious about the fight.
Well, both sides of the aisle have said they're open to negotiations on this jobs bill. So will we see meetings between the president and Democratic and Republican leaders where they try to reach some kind of common ground together, or are they really past that point?
We're seeing both sides suggest that they are ready for compromise, but we don't see any real offers of compromise on either side. So I think a lot of it is for show, it's optics, it's for public consumption, but I'm not sure either side really wants to get that done, particularly Republicans who don't really have a big political incentive to allow a victory for President Obama. And I think even the president's side privately would say that if it doesn't pass, they can go ahead and blame the Republicans as a do-nothing Congress.
Let's look at the unemployment numbers. They're expected to come out a little bit later today. Will the White House use that as an opportunity to push their jobs plan harder?
I think so. It's an opportunity, again, to remind the public of what the White House would call the need for this jobs plan. It's a line that the White House has pushed for several months now. It was kind of the crux of the president's press conference on Thursday, and I think they're going to push that through, really through the end of the year, through the start of the Republican primaries and perhaps early next year.
Something we saw was the president did acknowledge the protests on Wall Street, saying they were an example of just how frustrated the American public is. So are other politicians actually taking note of these protests as well?
we're seeing some members of the Democratic caucus in the House lining up with these protesters, mostly on the more liberal end of the spectrum. But I think some of them want to be a little bit careful. When you get into a public protest, you don't know what kind of elements can be in there. It's really easy to get associated with some of the more unsavory kind of extreme elements. That's what happened with a lot of Republicans and Tea Partiers a couple years ago. So I think Democrats actually might keep their distance somewhat.
Well, David, I can't let you go without talking about Sarah Palin's decision not to run for president. So were you surprised that she's saying no? And do you see her playing any kind of role in the 2012 election?
I wasn't surprised in the least. I thought once she stepped down as governor in July 2009, that was the end of her career as an elected official. It just made no sense for her to make that move at the time. I don't think a lot of Republicans really care about her much anymore. I'm not sure she'll even get a speaking role at the Republican convention in summer 2012. I think she'll kind of fade to the woodwork, count the money that she's earned, and kind of be a footnote to history.
We'll watch to see if that happens. All right, Politico's David Mark, as always, we appreciate your insight. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.